Hi everyone, it's Chrissy Ann, spiritual coach, and we're going to have a great conversation today with the great Keira. She is a yoga teacher trainer, a spirit and soul coach, and so much more. I love. Oh, there she is. We're going to invite her in. Just one sec. So bear with us as we get set up here. I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna share this video. It's adding her. So Keira, like I said, was a yoga teacher trainer. And what I love, also in her bio, is a daughter of
There we
mother. Hey!
go.
I'm just gonna see. I'm just gonna share it from my business page to my personal page, and we'll give a few minutes for people to show up.
Sure.
Um, so how is it over in Edmonton today?
Actually, I haven't checked the temperature, but it's probably around -17, cloudy. The sun just rose like 20 minutes ago, so it's not a bright day, but I'm up. I'm ready
I
for it.
Hi Elise. Well, it's noon here in New Brunswick and it's frigid cold today. I think it's
Yeah.
like minus 33 with the wind
Oh
chill.
gosh, that's pretty
Yeah,
cold.
so I am really happy to be inside.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm just gonna share this in a couple places so people can find us, and
Sure.
then
I'll see if I can share it on my page too.
there we go.
I went for a float last night. That was kind of a nice meditative prep.
I have
Yeah.
never done
Oh, you
that.
haven't? It's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Lisa's saying it's really cold in Halifax too.
And probably more humid, so that bitter cold.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I was just kind of telling everyone, hi Tasha,
Mhm.
hi everyone that yoga teacher trainer,
Yeah.
spirit soul coach, spiritual
Mhm.
entrepreneur, and my favorite, daughter of Mother Earth and granddaughter of the stars.
Ah.
I love it. I love it. And also the creator of Plant Seeds of Love intention cards, which I absolutely love.
Mhm.
So we'll talk about those later for sure. Um, this Kira and I met inside Paths to Profit group held by the amazing Becky Keene. If you need a business coach, I recommend, you know, chatting with her and see if it's a
Mhm.
good fit. And I don't know, we just immediately felt like I don't know, I felt like we knew each other forever.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, we have the same birthday. Like,
Yeah.
how crazy is that? Like, out of like 365 days a year.
I
Like, it's crazy.
know. And
It's
when I
crazy.
I mentioned you in a live video and I was like, "Oh yeah, I met her out east." No, I haven't met her.
No, we haven't met in person. It
Not in
feels like we
person.
have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, it feels like we have.
yeah.
And that's one great thing about, Facebook groups, but also like Becky's group is that she really creates that group atmosphere and you don't have to be in person. Like we were all over the world, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
She's a
Um,
matchmaker of all sorts.
she is the hidden talent of her offerings.
Yeah.
Um, so I wanted to start doing these Facebook Live conversations again because I find them so fulfilling, like soulful conversations, like I yearn for them, right? Like
Mhm.
they just root you deep in life. And so I was like, Kira, you want to have a chat? She's like, sure.
I'm so loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's start with, everybody's on that journey to find their soul, that soul realization story or journey. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, we are um, living that, right? I mean, we have our struggles like everybody else, but
Yeah.
we have this conscious intention, we have this in common to live life from our soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure like we each have a story on how we actually came to that intention, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
you could share your journey to that. That would be awesome.
Sure. It's um I haven't clearly defined it because I feel it's just sort of been and will be an evolution of my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I always was like keen to be aware of kindness and how it felt when something wasn't kind to me or other people. So that was, I think, one of my first like guideposts of soulful living, or like this sensitive awareness to like what is alignment, what is true alignment, and like what does it feel like when you fall off of that path, and how do you get back on, and how do you apologize when you need to, or forgive, and maybe that's other people, maybe it's yourself. um and I think so. I wasn't raised in a religious house. I think there's an aspect of spirituality, but nothing was ever really like, we were kind of left to find things on our own. And I think I'm the one of the three of us kids that found anything, and I found yoga, and I was like, oh, this is quenching a thirst that I didn't know I had, and it's
Mm,
answering so many questions. But really, and like as I've grown more, I've realized it's not actually a finding, it's a remembering. So that just like, it's like coming home. Probably we've all had some kind of sense in certain experiences, like this feels so good because it feels like I'm home, which means I'm maybe remembering it from, I don't know what, before birth, or like dream time, or soul, like pre-life. I'm not sure, but um, and
and
then mhm,
that remembering, that coming home to me is that alignment with my soul.
yeah,
Wayne Dyer would say, like, we're infinite spiritual beings having a human experience.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that feeling of coming home and finding it to me is that alignment with that spiritual being that we really are.
yes,
And and to me that is the soul realization life, right? Is to live in
yes,
the alignment more so than out of the alignment,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And looking back, I think I don't know if you've ever heard this, but like looking forward, the path is unclear, but looking back, it all makes sense. So like like I didn't really know what I was missing, and then I found yoga, and I was like, oh, this is where I need to be or want to be. And then like, interesting to connect it because I know you do a lot of work with grief, but my mom's sister passed away while or near shortly before I took my first yoga teacher training, and I wasn't like, as an adult, I wasn't super connected to her. Um, but then in my teacher training in the shavasanas, I would start to like feel her presence, which was pretty neat. And I was
So
like, oh,
cool.
yeah. And I always have believed in that, like having a connection to spirits that are people who have passed on. And then my grandma passed away, my dad's mom, a year ago in November. And that has been like, whether people believe it's real or not, to me it's real, and maybe it's just to give meaning and purpose, or like take the uh, how do I say, like take the identity or the effort off of yourself and put it somewhere else. But like, it's like she's been with me and guiding me, and so I've been honing in my awareness of that like subtle side of things, and that you can be guided by it. And that's another way to find your path, is to listen. Like, you, is it soul whispers you call it, or heart whispers?
Yeah, soul whispers, heart
Yeah,
whispers.
yeah,
Yeah, and they
yeah,
come and they come from various places, and
yeah,
loved ones who have passed before us. I truly believe that they are our guides in this lifetime, right?
mm-hmm,
They
yeah,
have passed before us, and they're there supporting us.
yeah,
So they send us signs. I mean, a lot of people you talk about dimes or feathers or
Mm.
butterflies,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
they do that so that you can consciously um, connect with that, or
Yeah.
certain songs, and
Yes.
then
All of those
connect with that.
things.
And yeah, and then you start hearing, whispers from them, right? Those
Mm-hmm.
random thoughts that
Yeah.
don't normally run in your wheel of your thoughts that go again and again and again and again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of those things have been showing up, and I think part of it is just like choosing to believe it, choosing to be aware of it, and like I will when I notice those things, I stop and I'm like pause and I listen and I say thank you and I embrace it, like whether it is a feather or like, oh my gosh, that song came on, or some completely random artist covers a song that brings back a memory, or just
Yeah.
all of those things. Um,
And I like that you said you choose, right? You choose to
mm-hmm.
believe it, you choose to see it, because we have a choice.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can tap into that magic unseen support of this life,
yeah.
or not, right?
Yes, yeah. And the more you're willing to believe it, the more it's accessible to you. So if you don't believe it, why would it show up for you?
Yeah.
Like you'll only
And I
see
truly
evidence of
believe,
it. Hmm.
yeah, and I truly believe it's completely there at all times. It's
Yeah.
totally accessible. It's when we
Hmm.
make the choice that we actually see it,
Hmm.
right? We're actually opening to seeing it. And
Yeah.
what's coming to mind, and I'm going to back up a bit because you said something earlier
Sure.
about, you know, something about, the clarity in the past is in the past, and how, you didn't know what you needed till you found yoga because you were missing something, right? And you didn't know
Hmm.
you were missing it till you found it.
Yeah.
It really spoke to me because most of my life, which actually started with grief, the loss of my grandfather,
Hmm.
no one really taught me how to deal with that grief. It
Yeah.
was, you're a child and we protect children from these life hardships, so we're really not going to talk to you about it or deal with, you know what I mean, expose you
Hmm.
to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what that did was leave me with this heavy emptiness inside that I didn't know how to deal with. So at 11
Hmm.
years old, I started with that. So I started with this something missing, this disconnection on how to mend this brokenness I had. And it
Hmm.
just grew for like 2 decades, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Until I started finding things that reconnected to, oh, wait a minute, I've been missing this connection with my soul.
Yeah.
So were there events or something in your life that kind of made you, make that shift of um, you know, disconnection to reconnection? Like you said, you found yoga. Like how did that like pop into your awareness? What was how did that come to be?
Um, well, it's okay. So I grew up doing Irish dancing, competitive Irish
Hmm.
dancing from like 7 to 17. And then went back for one more stint, qualified for the Worlds with my friend, which was awesome when I was like
That's awesome.
24. Yeah. But so my best friend, my mom's best friend's daughter, Carly, she, um, she got into studying physiotherapy, physio assistant, and then she found yoga through that. And because we had moved our bodies and stretched all our lives, I started to get interested when she was taking the training. And then the year after she took her teacher training, I took mine because my cousin owns a wellness center, or she had at the time, and gave me a great deal to join the teacher training. So it wasn't, and so I was talking to my cousin this weekend who had offered me this deal, and she's like, you know what? I offered you that the year before too, and you didn't even. And I was like, what? I don't even remember that. And she's like, yeah, you probably weren't ready. So, like, I had never I think I did yoga once in high school for gym and phys ed, and so once I saw my friend learning, and once she started talking about the philosophy and Ayurveda teachings and all of this stuff, I started to get a little curious, but I never thought I would teach yoga. And then in the teacher training, I still didn't think I would teach yoga. But um, what I learned um, helped me so much that and because I had the connection of the wellness center, that was where I first started teaching. So I wanted to pass it on, even though, yeah, like looking back, it makes sense, but I had no idea that this would be my path.
That's so awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you just follow. I call them breadcrumbs, just follow
Yes.
the breadcrumbs, right? And it
Yeah.
turns into this whole um, life that you were totally unaware of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because I was
I
on
think,
like the fast track to professional design career, and but it just something felt missing. Like I still love design, I love being creative, but and maybe there's still a way. I haven't quite found it yet. Maybe I have to create it, but haven't quite found the soulful way to be a designer. I think it's there. It's just not physical yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody what designer that, like your background, just so they can
Sure.
have that practical, yeah.
Yeah, so at the end of high school, I was interested in math and art, and there was a design studies class, so I was thinking interior design, and then I found out at the last minute there's this course at U of A, University of Alberta, of industrial design, which is 3D design, product, furniture, systems, sustainability. So everything 3D that isn't fashion, architecture, or engineering. So that course was
Cool.
amazing, and I met the best friends. And unlike other university courses, it was like close knit group of like 25 of us for four
Wow.
years. Yeah, so that was amazing. And then, so I got my bachelor's degree in design, and then 2 years later, I went to Spain with a close friend from school. We both got accepted to a school in Spain to do our master's in design, and that was like all kinds of design background students came, and that was another amazing year. So I definitely would never regret any of those experiences. I just have taken a break from design, and
Yeah.
and I also did some kitchen design too. So I worked at a kitchen cabinet shop and learned the ropes of custom kitchen design. So still do
Cool.
that on the side.
I need a new kitchen, by the way. No, I'm just
Ah,
kidding. I'm
if
kidding,
you,
but not kidding.
I, I'm happy to design an IKEA kitchen.
And but that kind of speaks to me though. Like you have this like practical university, this design, this tangible experience, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
all have in the society that we live in, right? The culture that we live in. And I mean, my background, for those who don't know me, is chartered accountant, right? So
Right.
I went, I actually did 2 years of bookkeeping at college, and then I went to university, and then I did the chartered accountancy, and I worked in that business side world.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that, I was already a chartered accountant. I was like 30, 31 when I started tapping into this, this feeling of coming home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was getting little bits of it here and there and started exploring it. So, bringing in meditation practice in my life
Mm-hmm.
and Reiki, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what I found when I first started is they were kind of like separate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like I had to keep them a bit separate to understand what this whole new soulful thing was. Like what was this feeling? Because I mean, I had like the career I wanted, the husband, the house, the truck, and I was so empty and
Yeah.
unhappy.
Yeah.
But my happy list was complete, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I did ask for these other things to show up. And like your cousin said, asking you to do the teacher training the year before, and you don't even really kind of remember that question.
Yeah.
I'm sure I had signs my entire life for this to happen, and I didn't see it until I said, you know what, I'm ready. I need to, I need help.
Yeah.
Like kind of internal praying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like enough of this. Like life's got to be more than this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found it, I found like I was playing in the background. So like all day I would live this life, and then in the background I would, do my meditation, read my spiritual books, go to my classes, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's only now that they're starting to integrate. Like I still do accounting on the side, and I'm able to actually bring in my spiritualness into the office in my interaction and stuff I
Yeah.
do. So it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like, and I think there's no way to rush it, no right way, but yeah, like this idea of integrity, and like how do you integrate all those parts of yourself and show up in the world as you are everywhere you go. Like I think that's part of what it was, is there felt to be And all of it is only my own projection, but felt to be this pretense in the design world that it didn't feel like me. So I'm just waiting, I guess, for the courage to show up as soulful me in the design world, right? No one's
Yeah.
stopping me except myself, but
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that I find that we flick a switch in a sense that we're aware of how to come to the soulful life. But it is, as they say, a journey. I know it sounds cliche, but
Mm-hmm.
it it is a journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could go as fast or slow as we want it to be, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much we're in our own way, which
Yeah.
also into all the beliefs that we've been given growing up, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a we're standing in our own way, but also what we've been taught has been standing in our way too, right?
Yes. Yeah. And not like where, I mean, I guess we are now available to help people see those blocks and get past them, but where are those messages or teachings in our society? Like, I think that's part of the thing that makes me sad about our, like, life is beautiful, but it's sad that we kind of funnel children through one version of school. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is true, but it feels like counselors and people who help you choose a career are helping you find something that will make you money, even if it leaves you feeling empty. And like, yeah, I think I've just always known, like, or felt like this can't be the only way. There's got to be more. And like, I think
Yeah,
we are shifting into a world of femininity. And like, yes, sure, linear is great, but it's not the only way.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could you imagine what it would be like to nurture a child to tap into their intuition, their soulful whisper,
Mm-hmm.
and bring that into our practical world?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's the magic that would
Yeah.
unfold. And all these hardships we see in our world would dissipate. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm. And everyone would
Yeah.
feel more at ease, I think. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you listen to what you're hearing, if you act on it.
Well, yeah. You have
Yeah.
to actually have to act on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of anxiety is like you can sense those feelings that are telling you you're not on course, but you're not willing yet, or you don't know how, you don't know what the step is, or your soul knows, but your mind won't acknowledge it, or you're not ready for it. But yeah,
You're
just
not
like
sure how to wrap your head around it.
yes, but like, or like the courage it takes to like,
Yes.
okay, this was the practical way I was guided here, but really my soul wants something
And
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
I truly believe that a lot of our anxieties and our depressions are, it's disconnection, right? With that
Mm-hmm.
this soulful wisdom. And I mean,
Yes.
the anxiety among children now too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is so high, is
Mm.
so high,
Yeah.
and they yearn to be them. And how
Yeah.
can and yet we send them. I mean, I'm gonna have a hard time sending my children to school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we send them into these cereal boxes of learning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
There
I mean,
is hope, but
yeah, there is hope. Well, and I'll teach my kids what I know, right?
yeah.
And hopefully that they will have a better experience than I did. Um, but also anxiety is not something I'm immune to either because it does
Mm-hmm.
show up when I'm out of alignment.
Yes.
But it's a signpost now, right?
But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What other signposts do you have when you're out of alignment?
I think so. It could show up as like mental unrest, like busyness or negative thoughts, or it can show up as physical, um, not quite, maybe not illness, but like start to see signs of like fatigue or depletion, exhaustion, or just like you shared it too, like that sense, and maybe it was in a different way, but like that sense you you know your body can move, but you just don't want to move. Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Um, what else? And like I think what I'm trying to do on my path to soulful living is like what I've learned is, yeah, you'll get a whisper, you'll get a hint. Those messages are there. They're gentle, they're graceful, they're quiet, they're beautiful. And if you don't notice them, and it turns into a pebble at your window, and then it turns into a brick at the side of your face. So like, which message are you going to listen to? So I'm trying to notice the really subtle ones, and listen to them and act on them. And so, to a lot of people in this world who aren't used to that, it just seems so weird. Like, why would you be making that decision? Like, you haven't been hit in the face with a brick. Like, yes, but I saw a feather. And I don't want.
Oh, I love it.
Like, just practice listening to those subtleties and not wait for it to be like an emergency. I mean, sometimes that's what it is, like hitting rock bottom, but maybe you just
Mhm.
like adjust the direction you're paddling in. Yeah.
And
So,
actually, that's reminds me of, like, I'm thinking of this. We're talking about soulful living, right?
yeah.
And I think for you, it's listening to those soul whispers, following the feathers, right?
Mhm.
And you had done a video not long ago, and you were talking about effort and ease. So
Yes.
there's like this, like, you can have too much effort and too much ease, but what the right balance. And I don't know, it's like that part of the video really struck me, and I would like
Mhm.
to share that wisdom with us.
Sure, yeah. I mean, probably it's our nature to know that inherently, but I first heard it in yoga classes. It's from the Yoga Sutras. Um, in Sanskrit, it's stiram sukham asanam. So in your seat or in your posture, in your present existence, you are a balance of steady and sweet, or effort and ease. So, and it's just like the night and the day, in the summer and the winter, there's like seasons and cycles, and some of them are big and some of them are small. So like maybe raising young children feels like a lot of effort, and then when you're an empty nester there may be some ease, and then every day there's like the same thing, like the sun rises and that's effort, and the sun sets and it's ease. But also in every moment, like if you've been to a yoga class, you may have heard like in a little bit of an effortful pose, like how do you find some sweetness here? How do you like relax your shoulders? How do you relax the muscles of your face, and find and maybe even just choose sweetness, softness in the effort. So, and finding that balance. And then even in I wouldn't say in Shavasana there's effort, there's like the discipline, that resting pose at the end of a yoga class, there's perhaps the discipline to let yourself do nothing. But in like some gentle poses that could be effective by adding some effort, sometimes we completely relax. Well, not to say that that's not good. Sometimes we need a yin yoga class that's passive to balance our yang active lives, but sometimes in each action you need this balance of mostly sweet and some steady, or mostly effort and some ease, or vice versa. So it can go so macro, micro in so many ways. Yeah.
So how do you integrate that philosophy into your soulful living of every day?
Good question. um, well, I recently read that self-care is discipline, or like to reframe how you see discipline as self-care, instead of um, like a drill sergeant like forcing discipline on you. And I see in like the long version of my life, and I think I've learned this from my mother, and maybe it's like a feminine teaching and like the teaching of the earth, but like I feel like I'm here to teach the sweetness, the softness, the ease, because our world is so going the other way, so much effort, so much nonstop. Like someone once said that like the big trend in the future will be teaching people how to relax, because
Hmm.
nobody knows how to do it anymore. um, so I think in one large scale, I think that my purpose is here to teach the ease side of it, and then in the effort or the steadiness, it would be like showing up, like taking action. So even though I'm like choosing in this moment to live an easeful life, I still wake up. I still uh, do my writing, like, and prioritizing actually like the things that are self-care, making that my discipline in this moment. We'll see like how it goes in the future, but like making the effort, like self-care, writing, yoga, meditating, eating well, nourishing myself, exercise. I'm a little low on that end, but that could be where I could add some effort, some steadiness. Um, yeah, and I think mentally that it's super important to have that sweetness of like letting yourself take a break. Like it's okay. This can be the end of my workday. This can be the end of my effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the discipline comes in that you're talking about and thinking of it in a different way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think in that same video you talked about the freedom and discipline.
Mhm. I'm
Yeah,
still
and that
learning it, but yes.
and it really spoke to me because we do
Mhm.
live in this world where it's go, 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 go. I mean, look at mine, right? Like I'm a
Yeah.
mother of two toddlers.
Mhm.
My husband works nights, so it's me and them all week, right?
Yeah.
And I work an accounting job. I'm a spiritual coach, and I have to run the household. I have to make meals. I have to do laundry. Like, like it's just go, go, go. And on top of that, there's friendships, right?
Yeah.
And there's family. Like
Mhm.
life is, and I really the last couple months ago, the brick hit me in the head. Like
Oh.
I let the brick hit me in the head, and I got really fatigued, run down so much that I actually went and got blood tests because I was like,
Right.
"There's something wrong with me."
Yeah.
And it turns out it's because I wasn't doing the self-care. I wasn't doing the the freedom and discipline of nurturing my soul, me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I asked for help, like that internal prayer of just like, okay, like I get it, I screwed up again here, like can you dig me out? Like can you dig
Mhm.
me out?
Mhm.
And one question that I read in a book from Teal Swan, I think it was called like Self Love in Dark Times or something like that.
Yeah.
um, she said, what would somebody who loved themselves do?
Yeah.
And like I have to be honest, self-love for me is so hard. But that question somehow gave me answers, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
We
and
do
she's like,
know when we
yeah,
ask, when we stop to ask. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I've
Mhm.
been using that question in everything from like, do I want a glass of water or do I want a cup of coffee?
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's my answer that shows up, not anybody else's, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that but it's that discipline to actually do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, well, you mentioned so many things I could talk about, but like free will of choice is coming up. I'm not like well versed in exactly what that is, but I know that it's like, yeah, it keeps coming back to us and like choosing our path. Lost my train of thought. Free will of
Well,
choice. Woo.
we all have a choice. Well, we started the video with that, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's like a major takeaway here is like
Yeah.
you do have a choice, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes we think we don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
put ourselves in our box of our problems and the issue that we going on, and we don't see that there's other choices or other opportunities.
Mhm.
And I'll ask you this, when you're in that space, right? Like you're in that like you know how that feels, right?
Where you feel like
What
you don't know what to do, or
you don't know what to do, but like you feel like have you ever felt that like you're trapped in your problem, all you can see is your problem and you can't see past your problem? Or have you ever had a client or a friend that had that?
no, I'm perfect. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
um,
Yes, yes.
that's so funny.
Is that a thing? Out in Alberta, that doesn't happen. No, I'm just kidding. No.
And your breath gets tight and you just
Yes.
the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you know, what would you like? What would be a practical way to like expand your awareness? Because there's so much more options out there, but people just don't see them.
Yeah.
And
My first, like, it would definitely go back to the tools I have from yoga, like just breathe and feel the earth. And I spoke with someone, like, there was one week where this came up over and over again, was like laying on the floor. I was like, yeah, laying on the floor, like yoga girl. That, I don't know if you know that famous Instagram lady, Rachel Brathen, but her
no,
daughter is like near two, and she went through this phase where she would, instead of having a tantrum, she'd just lay on the floor. And then my nephew, he was almost 4, and they had like a recital at his play school, and they were all standing, all the kids ready to like start to sing the song, and then he just like laid on the floor. And like when, and like grief, you know, like when something huge happens, we ground ourselves, we get down. So like put your feet on the earth, or like your butt or your whole body, and then just embody. One of my meditation teachers teaches like, more than thinking of what how you're breathing or thinking of what you're feeling, go straight to the feeling. So get as embodied as you can in your body. So like, what does my breath feel like? What does the floor feel like? Not thinking about it, not thinking of how you might write that down, just like really feeling, feeling, feeling. And that will give you a little bit of respite from your mind, which can like
yeah.
take you everywhere.
And I
Yeah.
love that, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
embodiment is the attention, right? So bringing
Yes.
your attention inside into your body. So you're standing on the floor and you're like, my feet.
Yes.
Consciously feel your feet on the floor, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
how the bottom of your feet either hit your socks or your shoes or the bottoms of the floor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and it's true. It's so simplistic, right? But yet so profound because it will
Yeah.
shift things.
Yeah.
It will. And it's funny that you say like laying on the floor because, okay, I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, so the tantrums can be quite intense, especially if they're at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And sometimes I get wrapped up in the drama of it, and then I am unresourceful, right?
Right.
I get
Yeah.
frustrated, I get
Yeah.
angry, I can't breathe, and I get so angry because I feel so unresourceful, right? I have actually just said, laid on the floor. I
Yeah.
actually have just, in the middle of the chaos, just
Yeah.
decided, you know what? I'm just gonna lay here on the floor.
Yeah. You're not
I'm
exiting. You're not avoiding.
just gonna lay here on
And
the floor for a minute.
how do your daughters respond when you do that?
Well, sometimes they're like, "Get up, mommy! Get up,
Are
mommy!"
you okay?
Or, "Are you okay?" Or sometimes it gives them permission to lay down, right?
Mhm.
And then they
Mhm.
lay down.
Yeah.
Or they come and they put their head on me, right?
Oh. Yeah.
It does work.
It's
But
like a giant gesture of body language, right? Like it's that's not just a facial expression. That's like going from vertical to horizontal. And like it's, I mean, I wish we did sit on the floor more often, but most houses it's like almost weird if you sit on the floor. Not for me, but many people it's like, why wouldn't you sit on a chair? But
yeah. Well, with my girls, I sit on the floor a lot, right?
yeah.
Because like kids want you at their eye level,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, they can converse better. They, you know, it's just a better relationship. So I
Yeah.
am actually sit on the
Yeah.
floor a lot. But wouldn't it be great, like in the business world, you're having a rough day? I'm just gonna lay down for a minute. Like
Yes.
I am on the floor. Just give me like 2 minutes and I'll be
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah.
That should be a thing.
It should, yes. And I think when I had an office job, I would like tuck my shirt in, take my shoes off, and do a handstand. like, like I hope no one comes around the corner because I'm upside down right now.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
I wish it was more normal. I wish, like, even it's even awkward to stretch in public, but it's so important. Like waiting in line at the bank, it's weird.
What to do that?
Yeah, it's weird to do that.
And when I hear you say, "Why can't I be normal?" I
Yeah.
have this like this in front of me, like, like you are the normal one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
Like, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we got to do what we got to do in the moment. And when we actually do what we got to do, it is from love because that's what
Mm-hmm.
we are, right? So
Yes.
we're not
Yeah.
going to harm anybody.
Right.
We have, and what we everybody perceives as norm, like it always, I'm sorry, it gets me so fired up
It's good.
because they feel that like being norm is, robot mode,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
This, like I shouldn't stretch here, or I shouldn't sit down here, or and like this whole rule set of,
Mm-hmm.
on that I see it as an assembly line, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've got to stay on this assembly line of being all the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Uh,
safe. The thing is, though, it's not safe because eventually, in my experience, this might not be true for everyone, but like, it feels safe to go on the assembly line. But eventually, I think part of you, if you're like me, will be like, wow, like, I really missed everything over there, and like,
yeah. But
yeah.
does it feel safe because that's what we've been taught and that's what society is, right?
Because
Because
we're hearing these words in our head repeated. Yeah, it's not even safe. Like it probably, I'm sure most humans, well, actually, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but like, haven't we all had at least one moment of like, I don't want to be caged in, right?
hmm
That's why like selling freedom works because we all want it, right?
well, that, yeah, and it's like a perceived safety,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And yeah, totally. I'm sure everybody could relate to not being, wanting to be caged in, like
yeah.
in some way in their life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like sometimes like with all my responsibility with the kids because my husband works nights and it's just me and them all week. Sometimes that feels caged in. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's a trigger. It's like, okay, I feel caged in. What do I need in this moment to expand this feeling, right?
Right. Yeah.
And um and it really comes back to the breath and grounding and being embodied in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're embodied in it, then you have that expansion.
Yeah.
And that's where you're actually being who you are as a spiritual being in everyday life. Because
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I used to think like spiritual had to be like, I gotta go away for an hour and meditate.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And until that was taken away, like you mentioned earlier, when things are not there, missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when that was taken away, I'm like, I need that. How do I do that? So that's what I'm learning right now. How do I
Mm-hmm.
do that? My craziness of life.
Right. Yes. Exactly. That's all. Like it. That's what I would think about yoga on the mat is like it's training for real life. Like let's create a safe environment where we can add in little bits of stress and practice breathing through it instead of getting up and leaving the room and like there's someone there to remind you to breathe so that when you're at home you'll remember to breathe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. Instead of like running away from the stress,
Yes.
embody it and add breath,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because when you're stressed too, you're up here, right? And everything's so
Yeah.
closed in. So when you
Mhm.
add breath and you bring it down into the body, so you're embodying it and adding space, then like it shifts and it shifts
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
can shift very quickly.
Yeah. And
I've
that's
done it in
the
business meetings before, everybody's chatting around the business table
yeah.
and things are getting heated and instead of me getting drawn in there, that I would do that and then I'm more resourceful too,
And you
right?
probably shift the energy of the room whether
Yeah,
they or you notice it or not, right? Just one
exactly.
person choosing to take the deep breaths. And I was going to say about like it is interesting to be more self-aware and like you might go to yoga every day, but and it will have its benefits for sure. But if your motivation is to escape your reality, then there's still something to to like check out. What not check out of, but like look into. Right? Like I would
Yeah.
say, we're not here to tune out. We're actually here to tune in, to listen,
Ah,
to align. Right? Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're using this like meditation or yoga or all these like tools that people teach us to de-stress, to have a soulful living. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it with the intent of escaping life,
Yeah.
then that's not it,
Right.
right? Like
Although,
that's
uh,
not,
yeah,
it is, but there's something more. Like
I
you're
wouldn't
always going
say,
to escape.
yeah, but I wouldn't say like, let's say your life is busy, you have two daughters. Of course, it's necessary and balanced to have alone time. So in that sense, it might seem like escape, but it's, like there will be that line of like, huh, like what's the motive here? And like maybe if it becomes like an addictive habit, it's different than
Mhm.
like a nourishing behavior.
Well, exactly. It's that
Right.
balance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Similar to the effort and ease, right? It's
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it's that balance, and that's a great point because we do need to have alone time or escape in a sense that you need to find what relaxes you, right? And often we call that escapes or retreat, right? Because retreat is like
Mm-hmm.
running.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
would say maybe retreat instead of retreat from, I might say retreat to, like
yeah,
retreat to your heart or, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Escape to your
Hmm.
heart.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
there's something to be said about the intentions of all your actions, right?
Yeah.
Not not necessarily the action itself, but the intention that fuels the action as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is a great lead into your cards, because
It is. Are we
I
so
love
good at
the
these transitions?
I don't plan it. It just happens. But the I love your cards.
Oh,
I love them.
thanks. Yeah.
So, if you want to share how they came about and what they are, maybe, share them with us today. Pull a card or two or however many you're guided to today.
Yeah, sure. So, I have a friend, my friend Lindsay and I both, she's been studying tarot, and we're both creative beings, and um, we've both been dreaming of like, how can we create something like together or separate, but like she wants to design tarot cards and like do all the art, which is amazing. And I've wanted to do things like that. Like this idea of creating cards has come to me over and over, like whether it's prayer cards or little positive affirmations or something. And I just thought, you know what? I think a tarot deck is like, well, it's over 70 pieces of artwork you'd have to create. So I thought, I'm just going to start with like 100 intentional words and create like a design for the back. And so that actually was a really neat process. I was saying to you the other day, like to choose those words and to see that they came from like my teachings and my teachers and my lessons and my experiences and my soul. And um, um, so I made a list of 100 words and came up with a name, Plant Seeds of Love. So the cards are not quite for sale yet. I'm still refining the packaging, but you can find them on Instagram at plant underscore seeds underscore of underscore love. Um, but I'll pull a card so I can show you. So they come in this little box with a lid. Cute little box.
So cute.
I know. And then wholeness. So it's probably backwards, but so the
Yeah.
little logo at the bottom says Plant Seeds of Love, and then on the back are like, I made these,
Nice.
hand drew a heart and then scanned it in and turned it into a flower. So it's like a blossom of love.
Ah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Um, and so when I was young, Becky, my friend Becky, if you listen to this, um, her mom, I think, had this little plastic loaf of bread box with a bunch of little cards in it like this, and it was called Your Daily Bread, I think. So it was like a Christian box of
Yeah.
daily prayers, and I think that inspired me. Like, I don't know how old that thing is because it might have been from their grandma, like from her grandma, but I think it's still in her kitchen, which is so cool. So that was also an inspiration. But and one of the things my friend Lindsay had taught me about tarot is like sometimes it's better just to like see the image and figure out what it means to you, because you could go straight to a book and read what does it mean, but like, so this has no book. You don't need like to complicate it. It's just one word at a time or however many, and then feel what it feels to you. So so I pulled the word wholeness. So why don't we just take a few deep breaths, and you can plant your feet on the floor. Maybe even close your eyes and just think of what wholeness would feel like to you. And maybe it's familiar, maybe it's not. Just take a few deep breaths. And feel in which ways wholeness will feel supported, which ways it would feel expansive. All of the ways you would feel whole and complete and nourished and steady and sweet. And as much as you can imagine this, envision this into your future, also really truly acknowledge that this is already your truth without needing to change anything. You are whole. You are perfectly you. And if we can all trust into that a little more every day, every moment, I think we'll be moving along a nice path.
Mm.
And I'll pull one more just for fun.
Yeah.
I usually shake the box up or like take the cards out and tap them to clear the energy, like a reset. Two came. Okay. Awaken. Oh, they kind of make a phrase. Awaken devotion. Awaken
Ooh.
devotion. So even that sounds much nicer than discipline, right?
Yes.
Devotion, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that does like to find ways to devote your life to something more than just our egos, you know,
Mm-hmm.
usually feels really good. And that would go with that question of like, what would someone who loves themselves do?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
And awaken the devotion in it. Excuse me, I got a cold. Awaken devotion within, right? Like within
yes.
yourself, the devotion um, to that connection to the wholeness,
Yeah, devote yourself to
right?
your wholeness. Yeah.
Awaken devotion to the wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that little meditation that you gave us with wholeness because it felt well, I felt whole.
Yay.
I felt
You didn't feel
like
like a
home.
whole, right?
No, I didn't feel like a whole. I felt like whole, like
Whole.
home,
Mm-hmm.
and and how it integrated in my life was just I visualized myself with these big deep roots in
Yes.
planted into the moment. So like my life is life, like life's life, like
Mm-hmm.
that's always going to be there. But I
Yes.
had this like feeling of home and wholeness in all of its experiences.
Mm.
And I saw into the future of where that was taking me, and it was beautiful. I love your cards. I can't
Ah,
wait to buy them.
yes.
Um, in the link below the video, if you could put like
The
the thing
Instagram.
to Instagram,
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Instagram tag or whatever it's called. I
Yeah.
don't know what the techie
Yeah.
word is for it, but so
Yeah.
that people can find it.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And like, do you have any last words of wisdom based, like coming up to you based on our conversation today?
The one thing that's coming to mind, I don't know if it ties it all together, but it's just, yeah, like that knowing that you're already whole. I think as a seeker, as one that's like working towards becoming something, it's just like that compassion and patience and forgiveness and awareness that it's not about a destination, right? Like we could get so attached to like, and I need to fix this and that and this isn't right and that's not right in that person and I should fix it. Like that's a good way to get out of your body. So,
So true. So true.
yeah, so I guess that is a good, like, probably useful for many of us to remember. Like, of course, there's a path forward and it can be beautiful, especially if we align ourselves to that route, but not to get like disheartened of where we're at, right? Remember that this moment too is sacred and whole.
Yeah, and if we have to satisfy our intellect on the destination, it is now, but that destination's always changing, right?
Right. Yes. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Destination
yeah,
now. Totally.
yeah, totally. I would love you to share. You could share with what's going on in your realm of soul and spirit coach and yoga and
Sure.
whatever else you would like to share and where people can find you
All right.
because,
Awesome.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
amazing and they need to find you.
Awesome. And you're amazing. I'm so glad we got to have this chat.
Me too. First of many, I know.
Yes.
I can't wait till we
Exciting.
meet in person.
I know. All right. So, my name is Keira Burgess. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you can see it tagged, but it's Keira, and my last name is Burgess. So my Instagram is at Keira_Burgess. My Facebook page is Keira Burgess. And my website, which will be updated, but it is currently www.keiraburgessyoga.com. And so I'm not currently teaching weekly classes in Edmonton, but I do teach for the Ambassador Yoga Teacher Training. And if you are local to the Edmonton area, we'd love to have you join. You actually don't even have to do all the modules. You could just join for the ones that interest you. If you want to be certified, you take all 4 50-hour modules. You don't even have to want to be a teacher. It can just be like soulful expansion and community. I'm also creating with a friend, Irene Garcia. We're doing a women's circle. The information session is tomorrow night in Edmonton at Shanti Yoga. And then we're going to do a 13-month-long, 13 moons commitment of a women's circle. And I'm super excited for that. And we're going to try and I think we're going to do an online version. So for those of you listening from other
Yay!
places, yeah. And like, it's like that devotion, right? Discipline and devotion. So it's not a drop in and drop out. It's like commit to 13 months, which might feel big, but like that's where like real sisterhood can be built. That's where real transformation can happen. So I met this woman once and at my friend's Christmas party, and I was like, I don't know why, similar to you, like I just know we need to do something, and I'm gonna help you do this circle, and it's gonna happen because my soul knows, like, and it's definitely like a time of remembering and awakening our feminine strengths. So and then a friend Jess and I, Jess Saulnier, we're going to do a day of Nidra and intention if anyone is interested in that, probably in March, so keep an eye out for that. So lots of exciting things, and then coaching online, on the phone, or in person. Soulful Spirit coaching, if you feel like you just need a guide along your path, someone to help reflect things to you, someone to support you, I'm totally here for that. So you can contact me via message on Facebook or Instagram.
Yay!
So much
So
expansion.
excited. So much expansion, and I'm so excited about the online moon phase thing because,
Yes,
like, when you mentioned you were going to do that, I'm like, oh, I'm
I
too far
know.
away.
I know.
I'm too far away.
It's so beautiful though, like what you can do on the internet. Like
Yeah,
I know it can seem superficial, all this social media stuff, but like the way that you can gather and connect intentionally with people from across the world is amazing. So
it is amazing. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And thank you for this conversation. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who was watching.
Yeah.
Elise gave us a lot of love. She
Ooh.
had to go in her studio to teach for the day, but
Yeah.
she said she'll watch the rest. And
Cool.
Annette, I think you
Annette.
met Annette, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Is she
Yeah,
still watching? Hi,
I'm not sure
Annette.
if she's still watching, but hi, Annette. She said she loves this conversation, loves us both.
Oh, yeah.
We love you too. And if anybody's looking for me, I'm a spiritual coach. Love showing people the way in the busyness of life. And my website's also evolving because we attract people alike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, ChrissyAnn.com. I do love supporting people in grief, and I still will. It
Mm-hmm.
is shifting to support people more in the busyness of life. And Annette says she's still here.
Hi, Annette.
And you can find me, Chrissy Ann, at Chrissy Ann Hollis on both Instagram and Facebook, the same tag or whatever that is called. And yeah, so Keira, I'm so grateful
Mm.
for this beginning of our journey in this life and how we connected. And I am like still flabbergasted that a birthday date.
I know. When you sent that, I was like, how does she know my birthday? And I was like, that's her birthday. We have the same birthday. No
Yeah,
wonder. And
good. And I wouldn't know, like in your bio you had put Libra. I'm like,
yeah,
she's a Libra.
yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, you're a Libra. I'm
And
like,
it's
October 8th question mark? And you're like,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now everybody knows our birthday. So like
Yes,
send us
that's okay.
love
Yeah,
on our
send us
birthday.
love on October 8th.
Yeah.
And like this is strange too, but I had your picture also on my computer and I was like seeing it in my periphery and you look a little bit like my mom. I don't mean you look older than me. I mean like the shape of your face. So
Well, I
it's
think I am older than you, but that's okay.
yeah, so
Oh,
we're definitely sisters.
oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I love
Hmm.
you very much,
I
and
love you
thank you so
too.
much for today.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for
you, our friends, for
hosting.
watching. We'll watch
Yes.
for questions. We'll comment.
Yes.
Kira, yes, please reach out to these people as well.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you so much, Chrissy. It was awesome.
Keep warm. I love
Yes,
you.
I love you.
Bye.
Ciao.